Hey everybody, so this piece is a little bit of inspiration. We did it kind of with our vibrating lines, and now we're going to use that same type of idea for creating a geode. And I'm going to show you, let's see if I can find it, my sample of a geode that I made. Here we go. I have this one here, and I have this one here. And I borrowed some of that idea of that rock, the geode, that's so beautifully colored and kind of radiates around this center organic shape. I even used the edges here and I filled it in with some repetition of lines like here, or what we call those Zentangle patterns here. I'm going to take you through the steps. You can use paint if you like, but I'm going to demonstrate in marker. And the first thing you want to do is kind of create a shape that is non-geometric, that is going to be the center of your shape. Here we go. And now when I repeat the lines around, I don't necessarily want them to radiate, which would mean I'm kind of following along the last line exactly. I can do that, but I definitely just want to change it up every once in a while. So on my next one, maybe I'll go, instead of radiating, go in a little bit, come out a little bit, just so it looks a little bit more like in nature. And a lot of times you just naturally want to repeat that same shape down below. So try to really challenge yourself to change it up every once in a while. And you're going to do that not all the way to the edge, but definitely you want to go out quite a bit. See, now I'm trying so hard not to repeat it that I'm actually making it pretty plain. I'll say at least one or two more I'm going to do. And so it's supposed to be like the layers inside the rock, very similar to when you're thinking about a tree stump and how many rings it has. This is the same idea inside the layering of a geode. Beautiful colored rocks. Here's my last one. And here I might radiate a little bit where I'm kind of following along parallel to the last line. Maybe change it up a little here and there, but basically following along. And you can see in this drawing over here, similar concept with radiating the lines, but here a little more freeform. This is very much like our vibrating lines, and then I kind of did a very similar thing in the background. So for us, what we want to do at the next point, and you can also use salt. So you'll notice that here, which one did I do it on? On this, I think it was on this one. Nope, I think it was this one, sorry. You can't really tell, but while this is wet, if you sprinkle some table salt on it, it'll give you a little bit of that crystal effect. So definitely experiment with that. I was looking for my glitter glue that I had. I couldn't find it. So I just used a silver oil pastel to add some glitter there. Anything that you have that glitters, if you have glitter, use it sparingly and carefully, because there's nothing worse than finding glitter all over the place 6 months later. You can add any of those glittery things to here. So without further ado, I'm going to show you how we use our technique for turning paint, or I should say marker, back into paint. So if I made this a blue center, I'm using more of the side of my marker to get a thicker line. And as long as it's a watercolor marker, you should be able to get this effect. I will say that I was experimenting on printer paper yesterday, and it's really hard to get this effect on printer paper. So if you prefer, you can just, use a lighter color to get a similar effect. So if you don't want to turn it back into watercolor, you could just kind of use this effect where you're using lighter colors inside, and you can change it up by doing it, say, with crayons or something like that. But for this one, because I have drawing paper, I'm going to just kind of go around and turn that back into paint. And that watercolor effect is going to give us a little bit more of that idea of rock, or that rock-like look. So I could choose to do cool colors, all cool colors, so that would be blue, purple, and green, but you certainly don't need to. The only thing I'm going to remind you of is that If you use something like red or green next to each other, it'll turn into more of a brown color, which could be your choice, but I just wanted to make sure you know. So now what I'm doing is I'm not using any paint at this point. I'm just using water on a brush. And I'm just kind of going in a slow motion because inside the marker is actually a sponge filled with liquid watercolor. And so the tip of the marker has what's called a felt tip. And so slowly the watercolor comes out through that tip, which makes it a great marker. But for us, we're turning that watercolor back into watercolor. So I would do this. I'm going to go and speed it up for you. And I'm going to go around and let's see. I'd stay in the same color family for me. That's what I like. Go around, 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 around. And I really would love to see it if you did it with glitter glue. You don't even need to actually spread it out if you don't want with the marker. You can leave it a little bit white like that if you prefer. Totally up to you. And if you're lucky enough to have Model Magic, you could make like a little pinch pot. And if you had glitter glue, you could put it inside and it'll kind of look like a geode. All right, so that's kind of similar to the last color. Going all the way around. I might switch over to more of a red now. And you can do a rainbow of colors if you like. You can do more than one color. Oops, I'm not being very careful, am I? That's the beauty of this project. You do not need to be so careful. I might even mix a little pink in there. And a little more water. If you don't have a brush, you could always just use your finger or a Q-tip. Just don't rub over the same area too much because it could rip your paper. So that's basically how we go to the edge. And for the outside, I like just to divide it up into areas. Now you could do where you just repeat that last shape and radiate out, but I might actually make a pattern for my background. And I could change it up so that if I did this here, maybe over here I'm gonna make, I don't know, circles inside here, fill the shape, go up to the edge. That's gonna give you the idea of a Zentangle or a pattern. Here we go. And I'm filling that background area. Maybe I'll just go like this here. All right, so you can see I've done one section here. Maybe I'll even make something like this. Once you get started, it's very easy to get lost in your Zentangling. Same thing over here. And you can go back and add dots if you want. You can fill this in. And that's basically Zentangling is where you get lost in design. Zen, relaxation, tangle, because they all kind of flow together. So however you would like to do it, this is the finished piece. Here I did put salt on one of the wet ones, but it didn't show up that much, but you can experiment with that where you kind of have it wet and then you pour on the salt. It will leave this little, you know, lightness around that area. Here I did where I went around it in silver. I even filled in some of the white spots to give it a little bit more of a natural rock look. So have fun creating a geode. I look forward to seeing it. Thanks, bye.